Hello everyone. Welcome to YetiCon. This is our first time here, and I hope everyone is having an amazing time. Hopefully you're here for the Fanthropological View of Pokemon panel, because if you're not,
that's what this is.
Thank you for sitting in here anyway.
The doors will be locked out.
We are the Nickscast. I am Nick T, and this is my good friend Nick G. And every week we do a podcast where we talk about a fandom and we try to dig into what makes the fandom a thing. As we say, we try to get the fan's eye view of that fandom. And we thought that for YetiCon, a really appropriate fandom to get into would be Pokemon.
All right.
Yeah. So one of the things that we do on the show, which is to try to give us a kind of glimpse into the fandom, is we try to collect a bunch of different fandom facts. Before we get into the discussion of what it is about the fandom that keeps people coming back. So I have a bunch of different facts about Pokemon and Pokemon fans that hopefully are enlightening to people. For example, as you probably know, Pokemon is a video game media franchise that started back in 1995 by Game Freak / Nintendo video game developer Satoshi Tajiri. The franchise obviously centers on fictional creatures called Pokemon, or pocket monsters, where humans, known as Pokemon trainers, catch and train the Pokemon to battle for each other in sport. Yes, there's breeding, yes, there is love and friendship and all of those other important things, and it is also a game where you have dogfighting and it's totally legal.
You also put in them in furry costumes and have them dance around like a bunch of idiots in front of millions of people.
Yeah, and give them fantastic hairstyles.
Make them give other Pokemon fantastic hairstyles.
And give them diabetes when you feed them too many sweet things. Yeah, exactly.
No, Pikachu's still alive.
Beggar's belief.
Yeah. It is the third best-selling video game franchise behind Mario and Tetris. It spans, and this was frustrating and interesting at the same time, it spans 18 mainline games, over 60 different spin-off games, an anime series that has been running for 20 years of 11 seasons and 20 different movies. There is a lot of Pokemon.
Yeah, one of the articles I found, it just said it doesn't even specify that it started as a game series. It's just an entity. It's just a media franchise that is everywhere your eyes look.
I tried to dig into the demographics of the Pokemon fandom because I was like, is it people in their 30s? Is it like children? Like who are the people who are the most interested in Pokemon? That is obviously hard to do unless you are a media research company, and we are not.
I don't even think they can do it at this point.
They can't, but I did find some stuff that kind of helps to pare it down. So using some data from Club Nintendo and Media Crate from the Japanese divisions of those areas, the average Pokemon player is male between the ages of 19 and 24. But I did find lots of other data sources that contradict that. There's another company called InfoScout, which has information on Pokemon licensed merchandise. And they say the average Pokemon purchaser are white females between the ages of 35 to 44. But also interesting in that data is that it shows that Pokemon purchasers are more likely to have kids, to have a college education, and to make over 80K US. But that wasn't the only data that I found, because somebody had collected some information about Pokemon Go, which is entirely different, apparently.
Okay.
There was a Forbes article, of all things, about Pokemon Go, and it suggests that the majority of players are between the ages of 18 and 29.
Yes.
And there's a ratio of like 2-to-1 female to male.
Oh, really?
So what I got from that is probably more female-oriented, but who knows?
Well, then you get to weirdly sexually rub Pokemon on a digital screen with a stick. Or your finger if you don't prefer to use the stick.
Sorry, I forgot about Fennekin's future.
Blastoise likes his crotch region touch. If you like petting them. Then they get the weirdest expressions of happiness, and children don't even want to know what on their face.
Yeah, well, sometimes they'll make this expression like, no, don't do that. It's like, yes, do that.
Don't touch my hands, but you can touch my feet. I love my feet, you know. Pokemon foot
It's
fetish.
weirdness.
I'm not even sure, even when I watched The Lion King, if I understood the thought of,
cousins?
lies, when I watched Nala give them a you know what I mean?
I just wonder how Ditto works.
Oh, that is
We all.
There's probably like a whole episode that someone could do on that.
So to summarize, we have no idea who Pokemon fans are.
We have some
We have
little
lots of
bits of data, but that's usually the case on the show.
Yes.
I tried to look into when the show was most active, or not the show, but when Pokemon was most active, and usually the way I do that is using Google Trends. And unsurprisingly, Pokemon has always been pretty popular as long as there's been Google Trends data, with a huge spike around July 2016 for some reason.
No, I have no idea why that would
Yeah,
be.
I have no idea.
And then a huge decline in August 2016?
Actually, no, there was still some interest.
Interesting.
So, not super surprising, Pokemon Go is released around approximately that time, and interest in Pokemon is at a relatively all-time high, and then it kind of drops off sharply into September and November of that year. Still general trend upwards, but less of a... Like, it's insane. Like, you look at the chart, and it's, like, flat, and then there's a giant spike.
Just like Poke fans, one big heart attack.
One of my favorite Facebook posts I've ever seen is someone, I think it was just a couple months ago, someone's like, does everyone remember that month when Pokemon Go came out and everyone just seemed really happy? It's like, that did happen, didn't it? That one glorious summer before...
Yeah, now everyone's going to be mad about the new Pokemon games that are coming out. They aren't new Pokemon games. They're just old Pokemon games with a new sticker.
I mean, there's only 18 other games, right? Like, there's nothing else you can do.
Really, that's like 8 or 9, because there's two
Well,
of each
yes.
of them.
Well, they just released Sun and Moon, but now they're going to release Ultra Sun and Moon, and they're also doing for the Nintendo Switch. They're having the Pokemon tournament, but with more Pokemon.
So speaking of Pokemon tournament, when we were doing the research for the show, that is definitely a call to getting like an older, regardless of what we found to be the demographic of Pokemon tournament is definitely targeted at an older set of people who don't
Let's
want
get
The
esports.
Street
Yeah.
Fighter age.
Yeah.
I want to fight with weird random creatures punching and throwing
but like in a way where I control the punches and,
Yeah.
and whatnot.
weird power moves. And
Speaking of which, in terms of changes to the fandom, the largest change is probably the age. The data that I did find from Club Nintendo and Media Crate showed the age group largely being like children preschool age to grade 6 when Diamond and Pearl were released, and then when Black and White were released, the demographic had kind of moved towards a majority of 19 to 24-year-old people.
Interesting.
So you can see that over time, as future generations of Pokemon are released, you get older and older fans. Probably people growing up with the series.
yeah, but now it's parents forcing their children like, I loved Pokemon, you're going to.
We now have a multi-generational situation.
Here's a monkey on fire. Hug it.
It could be a punching monkey on fire. Or a
There's
punching
monkey
yeah,
on
that's
fire.
or a punching bird on fire.
He's
or-
like a small acorn.
Oh yes.
I found it interesting how sometimes I'll watch a cartoon and I'll wonder what it is that can make, or anime, and wonder what it is that can make it so popular. Like when I first watched SpongeBob and the movie, or even how the Pokemon could make more of an impact than, say, like the cartoon Zelda series. I mean, despite being accused of promoting animal abuse and being satanic and all these other things too, right?
PETA's only the people who
Well-
pour blood on you.
They're not animals, they're Pokemon. Let's assume how they get around that one.
Do you see the 4 things that are sitting up here?
Well, you
You seen the new ones?
Now, is this demographic based off of, say, the original animes where Charter gets shot and James gets a boob job, or is it based off, like, the American translated version?
So a lot of the data that we collected is primarily what we can find because it's hard, and it has been focused around the games. But that is an interesting question because you have a completely, like when you have the original Japanese release,
Yeah.
you have people who are seeing a very gender fluid kind of Team Rocket
Yes.
and all sorts of other interesting things going on that just do not fly on North American
Yeah,
television.
'cause
Crazy old men with guns pointing at Ash and being like,
Yeah, that's what I always laugh. I was a little like, oh, that's so cool, they're pointing at each other. Then when I got older, I'm like, okay, they shot Charizard, what the hell?
Well, it's surprising that trend didn't continue. They're like, oh, I can just shoot Pokemon.
Well, I mean,
It would really turn into American standard.
I mean, after a certain point, it's hard to say whether you're talking about fans of the TV show or fans of the, because they're everywhere. It's like there are games, the RPG style original games. There are lots of other games that aren't RPG style that are also Pokemon.
There's the adventure, the dungeon,
Mystery Dungeon,
yeah.
Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, Troze,
Yeah.
Picross,
Yep.
Puzzle League,
Anything that you can put Pikachu on, Pikachu has been put on it.
Have you seen the
Pachinko,
Pachinko.
the fan-made Pokemon game?
Uranium.
Yeah, that was like it was made and it was put out and then it was instantly shut down by Pokemon.
Yeah,
And
there's
all those who got to get it instantly like played it all over YouTube everywhere.
there's a group of people who have actually taken RPG Maker XP, which is released I don't know, like 14 years ago or something like that, and they've released a pack called Pokemon Essentials, which is if you ever wanted to make your own Pokemon game, you just install this, and then it gives you all the assets to give you a Nintendo DS era Pokemon game engine. So you can just make your own Pokemon game. And I'm sure Nintendo is not able to shut that down because they're just tools. It's not an actual game. But when I was doing some of the research, came across people talking about Pokemon Uranium and all the other fan games and how easy it is actually to make fan games now.
There are fan games. There's manga. There's the trading card game.
Yeah.
There are plushies. There are T-shirts. Nintendo's created an Ouroboros of handheld games where they're making new games but also remaking all of their old games at the same time.
They also are re-releasing their books. Like I remember being in grade 8 or like 6 or 7, and they had like the little novel books that had different parts of the anime.
yeah.
They're re-releasing that. I saw them in Walmart the other day.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what are they called? Like animanga? They're like
No,
just.
no, it's actual little Pokemon novels.
It's just like little kids chapter books.
Oh, okay.
And they came out long when I was little, and then I was in Walmart. I'm like, I remember that. I still have that. Oh my god.
Yeah, but now the new ones with the garbage bag Pokemon, you're still questioning everything.
Garbodor, the literal garbage Pokemon.
It's evolved form.
Also, any item, creature, or thing that you see in your life could be a Pokemon.
Pretty much.
Like a garbage bag, like an ice cream, like a gear,
Keychain.
like a keychain, yeah. A lei.
So, I think this is as good as time as any to ask the question why.
Yes.
Like, why are people fans of Pokemon considering there are literal key, literal gear, literal garbage Pokemon? Admittedly,
Now
that's
it's just with googly eyes and a smiley face.
after
Souls.
20 years of Pokemon that we've gotten to this point. But what is it about Pokemon that keeps there being a fandom aside from this giant media engine that Nintendo has?
I mean, while there are Pokemon of every different stripe, Garbodor is not on a lot of T-shirts. Pikachu is, and then Eevee and your Gen 1 starters. But like, they're cute animals. Have you seen the internet?
How many cat videos are there?
Exactly. Like, yeah, sorry.
I was gonna say, I think I thought the Pokemon Go game was a good way for people to interact with stuff too. For people who are introverted, right?
Because back in the 90s, I think it was, they had a commercial for, I think it was maybe Pokemon Stadium, or Pokemon, or the Snap, where they went around the city. It was very 90s, and they had Pokemon in real life. I'm like, oh, that'd be so cool to play that on my little Game Boy Color. And now they've actually brought that idea to life.
It's what.
And
Sorry.
it's been when we were kids, because we always wanted that, now that we're adults. It's like, oh my god, they finally brought that idea. They have the technology.
Now I work too much to actually play it.
It's what every single person growing up watching Pokemon wanted from the beginning
Exactly.
of time, as soon as they started watching it, is to be able to go around their own city and catch Pokemon.
But then you see the paranoid people going, oh, technology's going to take over everything. There are things where people are like predicting that you'll kind of get like a contact you can put in your eye where you can almost like see Pokemon going around you, but with your other eye you can see the real world.
Do you have to collect 700 of them?
700
it's only
contact
700?
lenses?
Yes.
I think it's probably at 700.
It might have. It's
Something.
probably changed by now.
I was going to say, I didn't watch 5 minutes.
Speaking of like cute things in a like going out and being able to explore the world and do whatever you like with that, that's kind of one of the things that draws you into the story as well. like you in Red and Blue, and even in any generation since then, you start off the game as just a kid, like on the verge of adulthood, and it's like, cool, there are no adults in this world. It is no, but like not even like that is a childhood kind of dream. You're like, sweet, no adults, I can do whatever it is that I want to do. But you come into this world and it's like, great, you need to figure everything out on your own. We're gonna make sure you're not completely defenseless. We're gonna give you this little monster that can kill other monsters. It's probably cute. It's yeah, that's a start. Fannicon's a starter.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're gonna just set you out in the world, and it's your job to figure out what it is that you want to do in this world, like what is important to you, like how you are going to explore. Everything is up to you.
Yeah, and it like, and who, you know, what kid doesn't relate to that? It's like a coming of age story, and one of these days Ash will come of age, but it's been 20 years so far.
At least his voice has changed.
Oh, they replaced. What was it? She did Amelia and
Veronica Taylor?
Yeah, Veronica Taylor.
Yeah.
They've moved away from her as the voice actress.
There are a lot of voice actor changes, not all of them good. James.
I mean, James, but then I went back and watched the original, and it wasn't as good as I remember. Well, everything improved when Siler replaced Block in the Black and White series. But that's neither here nor
Jesse's
there.
still Jesse. Meowth somehow got more annoying and cynical.
And eternally from New York for some reason.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were to learn any dialect of the world, I feel like New York is probably a good one.
That's true.
There have been so many times on the episodes where Meowth will go and he'll be like, oh, I should talk about my backstory. But for some reason stops himself from talking about his backstory because it's normally when he's with Pikachu, remembering that he's already told Pikachu his backstory at way early into the genre. But everyone else is going, but we don't know. And Pikachu forgets everything every time he goes to a new planet.
I'm
Sorry, did you hand up?
Going off the animes and the movies and how many there are, I think the one problem they have with having all these movies that they forget where they are. Because I've watched it since I was little. So when the first movie came out, Ash met Mewtwo. Then a couple years later, they came out with Mewtwo Returns, and he meets him again and remembers who he is. And this time he doesn't erase his memories. Then maybe it was 2 years ago now, they came out with another movie starring Mewtwo, and Mewtwo had no idea who Mewtwo was. Who are you? I'm Mewtwo. You already met like 8 years ago.
Shortly after he was created.
I mean, one of the problems with any long-running franchise is canon. I'm not saying Pokemon has a huge problem with canon because it definitely is not a super complicated story. But often when media franchises get big, it's less about like forming this continuity. And even anime movies often don't fit into the continuity at all. I remember reading something about the Sailor Moon movies, and they're like, when does this movie fall? Like Sailor Moon R, I think, takes place with the
Second season. I'm expert.
okay. With there's this alien from space, and it's not Alan or Ale. It's this other person that looks suspiciously familiar, and they're like, where does this fit into the series? It's like, probably here.
Yeah.
And with Pokemon, I imagine it's just like, yes, if you follow the show, then you know that this happened in the first or second movie. But probably as a Japanese audience member, you're just, oh, Pokemon, I've somehow not heard of this?
Yeah.
well.
And you just go out to see a new movie with your kids or something.
Well, that reminds me of the way Doctor Who works. And, you have the series and your arc and your seasons and everything. But the Christmas specials are just kind of supposed to be watched by the casual person drunk. They don't care what the continuity is. They just want to see the characters.
Yeah.
Dude, so I feel like the Pokemon movies are like that. Because, like, they're hugely successful. It's not just, like, a small group of hardcores going to see them.
We killed off 50 different people. The next season is completely different. We have all new people who had to get made.
But I think one of the other things about Pokemon fandom that's helped it endure is because right from the beginning, and I when we started the research for this, I was like, why did Pokemon succeed and Digimon fail? And that is a loaded question because Digimon did not fail, it just didn't go in the same way that Pokemon went.
Yes.
And one of the big, I found out lots of reasons why that was the case, but one of the things was Pokemon from its get-go is Tajiri, when he developed the game, he's like, oh, it's like kind of like a kid going out and catching bugs and things like that. But also being a game developer, he's like, well, I want to do something that uses the link cable. So this game, from the get-go, is like, I want people to have to interact with other people. And we're not talking like Digimon with the little Tamagotchis where you'd like jam them together and they'd fight.
Play or fight or something.
You're talking about a game that from the get-go is like, look, I'm only going... in some ways, this is like the worst way to start a game because it's like the modern DLC before that ever happened.
It worked, thankfully.
It did work.
But
it's like, we're going to give you most of the game, you can see all these Pokemon, maybe even most of these Pokemon, but you literally can't catch them all, even though that's what we've told you to do. But if you want to like really experience the game, you need to find somebody who has the other version of the game and trade with them.
And buy a link cable.
Did that not? No, that came with the original Game Boy. It didn't. It might not have come with subsequent versions.
I don't think I either didn't have a link cable or friends. I can't remember which one. But I never did any trading in Pokemon Blue and Red.
So like before, because Pokemon came out in 1995, and the internet was a thing then, but probably not to the degree as like 5 years later.
Yeah.
So that's probably the first occasion where you have like young kids. It's like, oh, I like a thing, and it's like I have to. If you're an introvert, you're like, I just want to catch this Growlithe. I don't know. I've got Pokemon Blue. I can't catch Growlithe. How do I do this? You're like, you've got to find the person with Pokemon Red, and you have to trade with them somehow. You just have to do that. I know kids are usually really good at doing that, but there are still introverted kids.
That's true. Yeah. So like the social interaction, the connection is built right into the game.
Yeah, and that continues on in every generation. Gold and Silver continues that tradition. Was it the DS versions that started to introduce the World Wonder Trade? Or was it later?
Later, I think.
Okay. But like as you get into the like Nintendo platforms that support Wi-Fi, you're like, oh, well now you don't literally need to be this far away from each other.
Yeah.
You
You can be across the world.
Yeah.
Got to catch all those Pavilion. Is that what it is, Pavilion?
Yeah, the one with like
yeah.
20-something different pattern variations on its wings. Yeah.
Oh, that Mexican bird that's like, the cha-cha.
Halucha?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, no,
Halucha.
one's from
The
X.
new one from,
The one from Sun and Moon.
yeah.
You've
Yep.
got
The
pom-poms.
Aloha region where every different little
Or
area
or
of
or
Aloha is
Ikorio?
like-
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
that sounds right.
But also in the shows, it kind of gives kids an idea of, hey, get your butt out of the house. Don't necessarily go play with flaming dogs that shoot electricity. God knows what that thing actually is. Flat-nosed dog, pug thing. Or monkeys.
There's a lot of Pokemon centers, but not a lot of hospitals, considering all the extremely dangerous
That's a good-
I
animals.
feel bad for Jesse
I feel like the Pokemon Center has hospital services, though, because I feel like Ash has woken up in a Pokemon Center quite a few times.
Yeah.
He's also woken up in a tent with the people he's just made friends with for the past 5 minutes, giving him hospital treatment.
He's entirely too trusting, is Ash.
It's okay, they're all kids. They'll never do anything bad. It's fine.
The adults seem to have been bred for their occupation.
Well, every time they bring up Nurse Joy or Officer Jenny, they're like, "Here's a photo of my family."
And it's just, they're all the same, wearing the same thing.
And then they point out specific Jennies or Joys that they know. Oh, I met this one in this city. Oh, I met that one in that city. How do you know?
Well, it's like, what should this police officer character look like? Just make her like the other one. Doesn't matter. It's like Superman in his closet full of the same outfit, right? It's not important.
Hey, give them different accents occasionally, not all the time.
And then they, they put a bow on it by having the family photo.
Well, strangely enough, I think that's one of the other reasons why Pokemon has the fandom that it does, because every generation they make it familiar enough that you know what's going on. You're like, okay, fine, I get 6 Pokemon, I gotta go beat some gym leaders, gym trainers, island leaders, whatever they happen to be, collect some tokens, and then go fight some...
The big bad.
There's usually like Team X,
Yep.
and then there's like the elite number. Oh yeah, because in the most recent one, they're like, we're gonna make our own Pokemon League that's better than the others.
Pokemon, they're also like, hey, Ash went out in the world and look how many friends he's made. Look at the fact that he still keeps in contact with actually a decent number of them. Yeah, okay, he doesn't keep in contact with every single girlfriend he's had, or non-girlfriend, because he's Ash.
Well, in Kanto, he gets probably half of his badges just by being a good guy. Like, it's like, am I gonna beat Brock? It's like, nah, man, you're fighting me with you're fighting your electric rat against my rock types. It's like not happening.
And while that is a great message, the games do not allow you to do that. You can't just be really nice.
Can I go to the Celadon gym and just like help you with your flowers? And can I?
No, we have to make our little animals fight.
Yeah. One of which is a plant. I'm just going to murder this plant.
But I think they're incorporating that better now in the newer games where, you don't help the gym leaders, but with the Aloha, you meet the gym leaders, and you kind of know who they already are, and you've seen even just a tidbit of the anime, or even if you just see them, you're like, oh, okay, cool, well, this is this person. They don't even tell you that they're a gym leader.
Yeah,
It's
they're
like,
just a
you're not
character.
person. Yeah, and they know who you are as a person. They see who you are as a person. And then I think you get a bit of dialogue when you actually go to meet them, and they're like, oh, hey, it's you again. Thanks for not being a complete, piece of human of society.
Sun and Moon are really good for the, like, where at first the anime was like, hey, we have this game, Pokemon, and this is how it works, kind of. When Sun and Moon came around, it's like, look, we're just slowly transitioning the game to be like the anime. And
Yes.
like, it's the most anime-esque Pokemon game I played so far.
For sure.
Because you're just like you were saying, it's like, oh, there's these Team Rocket guys, and it's like, oh, they're blocking me and my Mudbray, and you're like, well, you're an important character. So. And then it's like, oh, you're one of the island's leaders. Okay, that makes
And you
sense.
can keep coming back to them and talking to them, getting more dialogue. And I think they eventually, like, certain people come and help you out throughout the story. Like, there's the one character who's your rival, but you're actually, like, best friends
Oh
with
my
each
god,
other.
how is the worst?
The rivalry itself is kind of toned down since the days of Gary Oak.
I was
and
like
his
the
10
most
badges.
happy-go-lucky guy. It's just like you beat him, he's like, ha, great job, guys, I'm gonna go over there. And then it's like, you keep beating him, and he's just like,
He's
it's fine.
fine with it.
But I found it hilarious in the older Pokemon games when Red, in the first game, you do that when, I think it's the second or the third, the character comes in and he meets Red, but both of your characters are silent protagonists.
So how are you supposed?
Dot.
Yeah, you're standing behind him, you don't talk, what do? Shove him or just like poke him? And you're like,
See, for a second, I thought you were going to talk about like the difference between first gen and second gen when, you've got Red or Blue or whoever, who's kind of a jerk, but then in Gold and Silver, the other person is like actually they're a thief. They join like the big bad organization, which I forget if it's Team Rocket or whatever. But they join that organization. They like broke into the professor's lab and steal a Pokemon. Like, it's very different.
it's even more hilarious by the fact of, you go and there's all these other things that are happening, but in the new games, they've brought in characters that are old in the anime. Like one of the females, long blonde-haired girl with the like Saya type haircut in the front. That weird music singer who's got like the white and black hair and split down the middle somehow.
I'm trying to remember the characters.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember.
And you think she's super nice and oh, she's so great. And not the girl who has Cosmo, but the other chick who's really tall and kind of creepy looking. But she's apparently actually passed in the like old anime, and she's still in the anime. They're bringing her into it, being like, "Hey, people who actually continue to watch Pokemon, here's a character."
There's continuity.
Were you thinking about the shipping in Sun and Moon?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
I was just gonna say every time I start a new Pokemon game, I just reset my brain. So when sometimes old characters will appear, I'm like, who are you? Why do I care about you? It's like, oh, that's so and so from Sinnoh. I'm like, whatever, I don't care. Get out.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
waiting for Brock.
you've actually played like all the gens, I think, as compared to...
I haven't played Gen 4.
Oh, okay.
I haven't played Sinnoh.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Okay, because when I was thinking about... they brought back Red and Blue from the first gen and the second gen, I guess. And I haven't beat Pokemon Sun and Moon, so I don't really know the context, but you end up encountering them towards the end of the game. And people are like, well, why are Red and Blue even showing up? And like, maybe they're like in a relationship and Red and Blue, like one had to convince the other. It's like, no, we're going on a vacation. And the other guy's just like, I know you're not going to say anything. So it's like, I'm just going to take you on a vacation to like sunny Alola.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. It like works in universe.
Yeah.
What is that? Watsonian?
Yes, that's Watsonian.
Yeah.
And going off the video game, so whoever's played it, they all know that there's a character in there that's a gym leader at the very end, who we assume is Ash, because of his Pokemon and how strong he is and the shape of the shadow. Now, compared to the anime, do you think we'll ever get to that point where you see him finally succeed and say, you know what, I'm retiring, I'm going to be over my gym now?
I'm gonna go fight this guy on top of a mountain before I retire.
That's how all the good shows go, right?
There's not, but he might look like Ash, but in the actual anime, remember Ash's dad also kind of looks like him. And even though a lot of kids don't even know. And, if you've seen the new season, Ash's mom. I'm sorry, someone butcher the voice actors, please. Mr. Mime is better than the human.
I think that probably that's not something that we'll ever see, because one of the things about keeping people into the fandom and bringing people in is always like whatever generation you start with, it could be the first. It's obviously not, as Ash has Pokemon and
He's
has
gotten
gone on-
Pokemon
yeah.
from previous times and
But
stuff like that.
Every time you start a new season of the anime, you start a new generation of the game. It's like doing it for the first time. There are definitely nods to previous generations, but that it kind of helps people who have been playing along to like grow up with the game, and for people who haven't
They can
played it all, it's
dive
just
right
like,
in
if
at
this
the current one.
They're like, oh, did they add this in this game, or is this new? Are these new Pokemon? I don't know. I've never seen them. They're new to me.
That happens to me every time I play a new gen. I'm like, oh, is this a new Pokemon? But it's not. It's from like 2. I just never found it before.
Well, especially if you played with like the early Game Boy ones, where
Yeah.
the sprite art could be radically different than the 3D
You're like,
models of the like Blastoise,
Yeah,
just like this giant,
shape.
round thing.
And that's even better in the game how they're incorporating more of the older Pokemon. And yeah, they're incorporating the new guys too, but, well, they kind of have to continue the series, but they're like, hey, here's a couple of the older Pokemon. Look at these guys. I'm like, you have to write Charizard.
Yeah,
And Tauros, and some kids are gonna be like, who's this random bull with freakish tails trying to kill me?
when I heard about, they're taking out because they keep, modifying the game in every iteration to make it like to get the less important stuff out of the way and just concentrate on playing. And when it was like, oh, we're not doing HMs anymore, you're just going to be able to Pokemon ride. And I thought that meant that once you catch a Pokemon that can do that thing, you can just do that. I didn't think it would be Pokemon Uber.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of what I was hoping
It's
for.
just
was
like-
I want to go catch this thing.
And then ride it.
Yeah,
But it's more like, and then one comes right over.
that disappear out of nowhere.
Was anyone else sad that Ash gave up his Charizard? No.
Ash has given up a lot of Pokemon.
Butterfree.
That's the one that I
Butterfree
most
is-
fondly remember.
Everyone
The tears, yeah. He's got
It's
his
weird
little
because he only
scarf.
had Butterfree for like a little period of time. It's like, oh yeah, here you go.
You're free. Go
The
really
the two things
Go
are
repopulate your.
That was the first time I think he did it.
Well, wasn't it Pikachu first? Because he's almost about. That was a good one too. Pikachu when he was gonna leave Pikachu with the other wild Pikachu's.
And then
Oh, it's been a while.
I hope to find out how that turned out for them. I hope
the most
they get
remember
back
about
together.
Pikachu is his addiction to ketchup. Bottle of ketchup, mine.
Oftentimes when we go through the fandom, there's this interesting tendency for fandoms to follow. There's broadly, I guess, like 2 or 3 camps. There's curative fandoms, which are mostly oriented around, let's take everything, catalog it.
Let's make the wikis. Let's get the lists.
Let's make a canon.
Yes.
Like, this is the canon or a canon or something like that. Oh, no, I'm not talking about Pokemon specifically, but like oftentimes people will fall into that camp, or you'll have people who fall into like the transformative camp, where it's like, I'm going to make fan art, cosplay, I'm going to write fanfic, I'm going to make my own fanon. Like, I'm going to take the work, and I don't really care about anything being particularly set in stone. I want to be part of this world, explore it, change it, etc. There's also like a third camp, which is people who just passively enjoy a thing, but they're less interesting to talk
Yeah,
about.
then
Oh, curative, which is weird when I say it, but when it looks like curative, as in like to curate things.
We're going
Yeah.
period.
Sorry?
Which camp is that?
Oh, people who tend to be more curative are people who like to, say, establish things as factual. So they're the kinds of people that will look at Pokemon's like, cool, I'm going to write down all these stats for these Pokemon. I'm going to document all the occasions where Pikachu showed up in an episode. As compared to people who are, or like, these are all the people, like, this is the canonical relationship between Ash and like female protagonist, as opposed to people who are more interested in transformative works, who will say it's like, well, I don't really care who Ash's canonical pairing is. It's like, this is the pairing that I'm interested, or this pairing, or these pairings.
The Rule 34 people.
Yeah.
they're transformative.
Yeah, no, that definitely. And when we're doing the research, a lot of my research focuses on the games and trying to figure out, well, maybe in this fandom, there's not so much a hewing one way or the other, but you kind of have the curative fans clustered around more of the competitive gaming, focused on your EV training, your breeding, all of that stuff, and then the transformative part, or more the passive fandom, is the people who are just like, I just like finding, like discovering new Pokemon and like building a relation, like petting them and playing with them, or making fanfic, or all the normal like fan activity that we normally come across. Yes.
I've even seen people who write the casual fan fiction and then the more wild stuff too.
Well, that's kind of like a gradient, right? Into like, if there was like less transformative and more transformative, the people who are writing fanfic at all are already engaged in that sort of transformative area. It's not like it's a static scale, like you have to be in one or the other, but generally when you talk to people about a fandom, you kind of get a glimpse of one of those two things. Whether your fan is talking about like, oh, did you see how in the latest Game of Thrones that like this thing that didn't happen in the books happened?
Yeah.
Or it's like, did you see this latest episode of something? And they're like, I really like the way that these characters are working together, but I'd really want them to go this way.
And that's why things like The Simpsons and South Park and comics.
Well, Simpsons has comics.
Yeah, but they've had their show on for how many years?
Yeah, 30 seasons or something.
They can come out with books.
Yeah.
Art's still 10.
They're Pokemon.
They've lampshaded that a million times.
Yes, they have.
Too. Actually, they've lampshaded that in Pokemon too.
Ash being...
No, like Team Rocket like trying and never succeeding. Except for that one time that they did.
Oh, man.
That was
I think they bring that up in an episode.
that was
Remember one
very
time we
recently.
succeeded? We need to do that.
But the, in terms of the curative, with regards to the competitive side, because I think you said this before when we were playing Pokemon one time, it's multiple games in one.
Yeah.
The competitive game is all min-maxing and like trying to, through successive generations of eugenics, trying to find the absolute best Pokemon and the best stats. If they have the wrong nature, restart the game.
So all the Dittos plus the...
Oh yeah, exactly. And that's matching your metal. And I love that a factor in your Pokemon is now affection, like in the Pokemon to me, because all of those competitive people now have to pet their Pokemon for quite some time in order to maximize their performance.
But in the previous generation, they could just play mini games, which was actually, I guess, kind of makes sense in a way. If you're good at the game, you can
also
do it faster.
play slots as a 10-year-old.
I played that thing for like 3 hours. The
really want to
Voltorb
play it?
flip.
I would
Oh, that one,
I'd
not
be
the.
sitting in elementary school, people would be playing it, the teacher would walk over and be like, oh, those sound like fun little noises coming from your game, and see that it's a slot machine. I played that in Vegas once, and the kid's like, where's Vegas? Dumbass!
Well, you see, in the quest to catch them all, you've got to catch Porygon, even though in the first generation types were really messed up and special defense wasn't a thing. So, what was Porygon's thing? Conversion? It like changed didn't matter. It doesn't work. It didn't work. It's fine. Even though Pokemon has done a lot to stay the same over the years and has made some changes over time, I think one of the other things that draw people in is, especially lately, Pokemon has tried, maybe in a tokenish way, but like to make Pokemon more inclusive. Mm-hmm. Like, Pokemon have admittedly just two genders, but that's fine. It's a start. But more importantly, like in terms of representation of characters, it's not just like Japanese or like white people. They're like, you face ace trainers and they can be like male or female. You face characters who are white, black, all sorts of like, they're not given a race in the game, but there's at least variation in that not all people are the same.
Yeah.
Prominent characters are not just exclusively male or female. I don't really know about this. Oh yeah, gym leaders. Like even in the first generation, you've got Lauralee as a member of the Elite Four.
Sabrina.
Sabrina's the psychic leader.
Yep.
Misty has Cerulean. But you see that from the get-go. It's not like... Although in first generation, you did they ask if you were a boy or a girl in the first one, or is that in third gen? Second
Is
gen?
it?
Okay. But like they start to get that in there. They like try to make it inclusive. So it's like, okay, you can be whoever you want to be in Pokemon. If you're an X and Y or Sun and Moon, you can dress your character up in all of the same clothes. They're all the same.
Is Sun and Moon the first that had an option for your skin tone?
No, I think X and Y also do, but the gradation is so minute. Like you can be white or like kind of pink, or you can be like very dark skinned.
Yeah.
It's like that's it.
I think that's one of the things they were talking about with their new game is, yeah, okay, this is kind of a stamp on the game we made not all that long ago, but we're actually going to give you, more options to use hair, more options to use your character, and please don't put a fancy tutu on your Litten when it becomes Pyroar, and...
Well, now, knowing not that much about these things, I'm going to say it anyway, it's become more of a, like, Second Life for Guy Online a little bit, because you can buy clothes and do your hair, and you can just kind of, and like pet your Pokemon, and take them to the hairdresser. You can just kind of like exist in Pokemon without the drive of the plot.
But I think that's like part of the dream. In as much as you can play Pokemon as many ways as you want, you can just play it as a straight up RPG. You can play it to like learn all the moves and do all that. You can also just exist and be a part of that world. If you want to make it more realistic and try the Nuzlocke challenge and be like, I'm going to catch the first Pokemon. If a Pokemon faints, it's died.
Done. Yep.
That's just your way of like adding yourself into the world in a more meaningful way. And that like draws you into the game because it makes you more of a part of it.
Well, and I think that's what Pokemon's trying to do. And even a couple of games are trying to do that now. Like, you remember the old Duck Hunt game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you seen the new game that's being released, but it's not by the same company? Yeah, it's the PlayStation VR where you can shoot the ducks, but if you shoot the dog will kill you. You are in his world, and he will come for you.
That is amazing.
I don't know if I want to play Duck Hunt in VR.
Be like slightly
seems
terrifying.
Yeah.
And the dog just still laughs at you, and you're this little kid. You get the game.
Oh man.
But I can see Pokemon come to a point where they start adding in, yeah, okay, you can be super great to your Pokemon. But as we've seen, even with all the other teams in the game, not everyone is good to their Pokemon. They literally had the thing in the GameCube game where you
Gale of Darkness.
You put your darkness into Pokemon, making them uncharacteristic.
All news to me.
Making them not who they were anymore. And I could see that one day Pokemon be like, hey, you can pet Pyroar, or you can smack him and see what happens.
I was just gonna say because we're running out of time. I had this quote that I didn't want to go unmissed, but if you have something to say.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say quickly. You just made me think of this. I would like to see maybe in future, because of the way like so many people look forward to so many different aspects of Pokemon. Everyone's playing it differently. That Pokemon introduces almost like a kind of Undertale thing where you do not have to fight, but you can still move through the plot. Because I feel like people.
Kind of like what Ash's new girlfriend does or whatever. Well, not in the recent season, but the new one where you can do the stage performance kind of almost like Dance
Yes,
Revolution.
yes, you can.
Idea.
There's a different path to success, you know.
You
don't have to be a trainer.
Because
can deal with the frou-frous and you can cut their hair by the touch screen.
because the characters that aren't Ash have to have dreams that are not be a Pokemon trainer.
Yeah. Well, be a Pokemon master.
Yes, sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, there was just we mentioned fan games earlier, and there's just this really good quote that I found when reading about Pokemon Uranium, and it kind of like does a nice job of summarizing a little bit about why people are fans of Pokemon. It comes from a Kotaku article called "The World of Pokemon Fan Games Has Become a Minefield," which is an interesting read if you want to find out why Pokemon Uranium got shut down and just where that whole area of game development is at. And it says, there's something about Pokemon itself that makes fan games so appealing and pervasive, both creating them and playing them. I think that it's the fact that every Pokemon adventure is different. You're always going to have a different Pokemon team, different battles, different challenges. Within the framework of the game world, your story is unique. Something about that makes us want to tell each other our stories, whether through fan art, let's plays, fan fiction, role-playing, or in my case, fan games. It's all part of the Pokemon experience, but it's something that transcends the official franchises of games, anime, and merchandise.
Wow.
That was a good quote. That was probably
That was the signal.
the which minute? 3, 5, 1?
It was a fan.
Oh, okay. We should probably wrap up.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Thank you everyone for coming by. If you want to check out this podcast, literally this one we're recording right now, it will probably go up sometime this week. You can check it out we're putting it on Fanthropological.com. Or if you want to check out our other stuff, you can go to the Nickscast.com and it links to all the things.
All the things.
Yeah.
All the things.
And again, thank you very much everybody for attending.
Yeah, thank you. Should I do my cold open?
If you want to, go ahead.
I feel like a moron doing it.
Okay.
But that's never not true.
Yeah.
You wanted to just use that once, did you?
No, I actually need to do that so that the camera and this is all synchronized later. Otherwise, well, I could have just clapped, but that's not as exciting.
I mean, if you have that thing already, you
That's
might
the
as
whole
well.
point. So we're recording this if it seems like we're being particularly silly, but that makes
Yeah,
sense.
this is gonna
YouTube.
this is
For the YouTubes. Yes.
we put it on the. Actually, we are recording it for the
Yeah, we
YouTube.
are
I keep
recording
forgetting we
for
have
the
the video
YouTubes,
camera,
yeah.
so everything my face does will be monitored. Okay. No, I'm not going to difficult.
You're not gonna. Okay. Cool.